Um, you're muted at the boardroom. We can't hear you online.
Yeah, it's still muted. Can't hear him.
Can they hear us?
We can hear out here. This is us at the job site.
Okay. Can you hear me?
There we go. We got it.
Okay,
Now we can.
all right. So Andrew is going to take over and make the presentation on the police gym system.
Share the screen here.
Can you share my screen, Joe, please? So good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us. I do want to recognize the Police Department's internal gym committee for coming today and all the hard work they've done so far. Heading up the committee is Sergeant Rex Frosta, who's sitting right next to me. We have Officer Brian Connolly, Officer Matt Marzano, Officer Shane Gibson, and Officer Rob Rizzatelli, and Officer Kelly Coughlin, who also put in a whole lot of work on this, and she was an integral part of the committee. She's actually traveling to the, the National Special Olympics Convention. She was sponsored by the Connecticut chapter to go for all of her charity work. So she was unable to make it today, but she was an integral part of this process as well. So what we were looking at is working within our $330,000 training equipment budget that we had additionally had from the start of the project. And what we were looking at is having the simulator in the upstairs room and the gym in the downstairs room. So the chief, Captain Ferenga, and I went to the International Association of Chiefs of Police convention in Boston this year and looked at a lot of different simulators. And we saw some 180-degree simulators that we thought were very good. And the original idea was to get one of those in that room. But we also were looking at some virtual reality models that are kind of the up and coming integral part of the training for police simulation. And those models are actually a lot less than the screen models. So we're looking at going in that direction.
Can you, I think you're going to need to back up and give a little bit more explanation as to what a 180-degree model does and what the virtual reality.
Sure, I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Not...
So what we're not presenting that today. What I was kind of just trying to get to is we haven't really hammered down with our use of force instructors what exactly model we're going to go with. But we know the price line is going to be less than $100,000. So it can be anywhere from mid-90s for 180-degree, which is a 3-screen rendering. You know, there's one screen here, one here, and one here, and it's an immersive training model. So you're standing here and you have, you know, basically a 180-degree immersive reality. Whereas the virtual reality goggles is a headset you put on and you have equipment on you. So that's two different models that we're looking at, and we have to kind of hash that out.
So these are screens that are large, you know, 6x8 screens that are projected scenarios. So an officer is immersed in a scenario and they decide how to act in any given scenario, how to de-escalate it. And it allows the instructor to branch the scenario based on the officer's actions. So these are immersive training environments that you can get realistic training without being out in the real world or, you know, interacting with real people.
And just to explain a little bit more, can you just say, like, give, and I know it's going to be for the future, for when you come up with this, just so we know the types of situations where you're working, the types of de-escalation, just, you know, a couple of minutes, that's all.
Domestic violence, motor vehicle stops at night, anything that we could encounter. There's thousands of different scenarios of anything that you can imagine that we could encounter. And that's the idea of it, is to broaden these officers' perspective and environment, because we may not interact with those sorts of scenarios in real life. So if it's a domestic with 2 individuals and then becomes violent, or it it doesn't, and the officer separates the people properly and it's de-escalated. Could be somebody with mental health issues, struggling, looking to harm themselves. It could be any kind of those things, burglary in progress, robbery in progress, something like that of those nature. So there's a whole host of different kinds of scenarios, and these companies that we look at develop these scenarios continually, and all the packages that we looked at, they come with thousands of scenarios, and they're adding all the time.
They also allow you to develop your own scenario. So if there's a situation where one of our officers deals with and we weren't sure how another officer might deal with it, or if there was a better option that they could have, better decision they could have made, then we can actually create those scenarios in either of those models to for the whole department to experience and, get to that point where you make a good decision, and you can also review what you did after the fact with trainers and talk about what you could have done differently to get a better outcome. So the idea is to do it now in training and so you're ready for when it happens on the street, you're going to make a better decision.
And then how many different police departments, like how common are these in police departments today?
They're fairly common. We
Not where we want to go.
We have a service that comes in once a year that does our low light shooting requirement and scenarios like this. It's very antiquated, to be honest, and it costs us $5,000 for him to come down for 3 days. Other departments do have them. I'm not sure. We can get a list
Multiple in the
together.
state. Yeah, there's a lot in the
Not
state.
every department does, but they're around. And it just enhances our training ability to do continual training and keep our officers up to date. But as Andrew said, we were prepared to come and present a presentation on a few different options for a immersive with screens that are projected onto the screens. But we're learning that virtual headsets are the future, and that's where a lot of the training is going, and a lot of the training credits are going. So we have mandatory training that we have to do that's required by the state. And we've learned that the state is trending towards the virtual headsets. Now that prevents the need to have screens and projectors, and it opens up the usefulness of the room considerably, because you just have headset equipment, and it's a little bit more cost effective too. So.
All right.
They're
I
also
just
more
wanted some
interactive.
background for
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
come forward.
And when
I
we do present
appreciate-
it,
yeah,
we'll
no,
give you a
I-
much
I just
more,
wanted to-
yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the information.
So when we are
I
prepared to-
waylaid you today.
Penny, let me just give you a little perspective. We use virtual reality a lot now as well. In a hospital situation, we'll put the nurse in the nurse's station because everything's designed in 3D now. And she can simulate and just sit in a chair and basically see the nurse's desk and how it's all laid out. This is something we may want to do for dispatch, by the way. And then we also walk the fire marshal through the building before it's even built, through the model, so that he can see where the exit signs are, walk down the hallways, and it's a phenomenal tool.
Great, great. I'll look forward to hearing more about it. Appreciate it.
Back to Jim equipment.
So keeping within that budget in mind, the gym committee worked hard, looked into multiple different companies that would have the wherewithal to get the gym equipment into the space that we have. They narrowed it down to 3 main companies, and after several meetings with the companies, having the representatives from the companies come down into the space. Thank you to Turner for hosting them within the building. Scott and Larry were great with having us go in multiple times and make sure all the dimensions were correct, and to find out which company was going to do great with the space that we have, and which company could also provide the equipment and services that we need. Keeping in mind that Kerma has certain restrictions with using the space with the gym within a government building. So we need to have, like we said before, we need to have new equipment that is properly maintained and inspected. So we had to make sure that we had companies that could fit those needs as well. So I'm going to let Sergeant Sprasta and Officer Gibson talk to you about the physical fitness and a proposal that they came up with. The company being Thorinex, which is a widely known company within the private and public and military industry as far as fitness equipment.
So Soren, after doing the research, Sorinex seemed to provide the most comprehensive package that we were looking for, which also covers some of the wide array of equipment that multiple people would be using in the police department, to just help us stay in shape and do some of the things that we want to do to continue to stay ready and fit. As you can see on the screen, some of the benefits of having the fitness center, some of the highlights. Most of the officers live out of town. It is more convenient for the officers to work out either before the shift or after the shift. So then they shower within the new building, of course, and then get to the shift, or after the shift on their way home. The company also provides a lot of different types of equipment that we can use, as opposed to people using the same equipments over and over. I know it's a wide array of equipment, and we solicited input from several of the officers that currently use the equipment that we have now, and even gain some more insight into some different equipments that would help most of us, whether it's recovery from injury, staying in shape, optimal shape for as long as you can, or just for your mental health, and having some place to go to work out and blow off some steam or whatever it is you need to do.
And I think one thing to note is the camaraderie that it does build within the police department. I can speak I know Shane is one of the officers that uses the gym very regularly, and with some other officers, they sometimes actually make their own classes together, and they'll work out together as a team and almost compete against each other, which ups the result and the camaraderie at the same time. And one thing to think about too is something that only police officers really think about is when you do go to the gym, you don't necessarily want to do it in the town where you work. You might have had a call for service where, there was an outcome that was made someone unhappy. And then the next thing you know, you're on the treadmill next to them the next day. So it's just something to think about and consider that, officers might not want to be in that situation, understandably.
Like for example, the Y, gracefully allows us to use the gym now, but some officers are uncomfortable going there in the event that you may have arrested one of the members that are there now. So they don't necessarily want to be there with someone that may have arrested in the past.
We agreed we're going to have a facility underneath the building, so that was not the problem.
Some of the highlights about Sorinex, they're based in South Carolina. They were able to customize the equipment to what we need. They deliver and install the equipment, and there's also a warranty that comes with the equipment as well. So there isn't too much concern about, long-term what's going to happen. If we have an issue with one of the equipment, it's an industry-backed leading lifetime structural warranty for most of the heavy equipment, should we need them to service it in the future. It's just a breakdown of, different exercise equipment over the years and how it's used and how it's been modernized and to current time. Sorinex has been used across the country in professional facilities such as the NFL, NBA, and the MLB. Some high schools and some colleges as well have used Sorinex in the past. And you're going to see some of the renderings that were done in different some police departments.
And so these are pictures from other departments and other agencies throughout the country. Officer Coughlin did reach out to these departments and speak with them about what they thought of using Sorinex and their experience, and everyone said it was fantastic. For the customer service warranty, coming out and listening to them and understanding like what their needs and what was wanted within their gym, they were spot on when it came to that. I don't know if you're all familiar, this was our previous gym at South Avenue. So it was tight, equipment wasn't the best, a lot of it was dated. So we're looking hopefully to get newer equipment. So these are some renderings that Sorinex provided for us. We have multiple rigs and racks. So 2 rigs and racks where officers can do the squats, bench press, a lot of different activities, workout wise, as well as cardio equipment along the other wall where the windows are. And then the turf in the middle, which will provide us an access to not only exercise, pushing the sled, but also perform our PT test, which we do twice a year. which some officers are required to do it, just for extra responsibility we have within the department. So that's an option, and if we can't do it outside, we always do it inside as well. It's fantastic. They optimize storage, so we do know why it's a nice big area. Storage, the room gets small quick. So how can they minimize or maximize the amount of storage with the equipment that we have and what we need? So these are all new renderings that we have for the type of equipment that we asked for. Speaking with the gym committee, all the members, like, this is what we should go with.
One nice feature Sorinex is able to do is at a minimal cost, they can personalize the equipment. So as you can see, that nice little patch kind of reminds the guys when they're working out and girls that, you know, who they are and where they are. And again, Sorinex was one of the reasons they picked this company is it really does maximize space. Some of the other companies, one of the other companies I know was cheaper, but they had less equipment and they weren't able to personalize it, and they weren't able to fit equipment in to the space. As you can see, we have I forget if it's ducting or lighting that's causing a lower ceiling in the back corner, or the back, yeah, the ducting. So what Sorinex was able to do is they're going to customize, build that equipment so that you can fit in there and have multiple officers able to do pull-ups, whereas the other companies weren't. So it was one of the reasons that Sorinex was the main pick. So if we could pull up the.
What's the useful life of the equipment?
Useful life, I mean, be maintained yearly. So Sorinex has a warranty and they'll inspect it and make sure everything's good every year. But well, from my experience, I mean, using the equipment like this, it could be decades. So, I mean, a lot of the gyms are used for collision. A lot of military units use the same company, and like, it depends on volume and how much is used. But having this available to the officers is just.
The weights in the weight rack are made out of metal, so they'll last for the life of the building, you know, if maintained properly. The other cardio equipment, you know, that's electronic and those sorts of things. So those are probably, you know, on more of a 10 to 15 year, once those things need to be updated. But the weights in themselves and the metal equipment can be maintained for a very, very long time.
So does this come with a maintenance contract or what, an annual contract where you spend an annual fee, or is it just on demand whenever you need them, they'll come in and bill
So it
you?
does come with, I believe it's an annual fee, like, to maintain it.
Right.
But there's a lifetime warranty when it comes to like the weights and equipment. Something does malfunction, we contact them, and then they'll provide us with everything for shipping and then be able to get everything out. And if we can't ship it out, they could send a rep up to actually inspect and see what we actually need with it. So.
I mean, will they bring someone in, do annual inspections, or does it need that? I'm thinking more of the stuff, the electronically driven stuff.
More for the electronic stuff, but yeah, they would bring someone in to inspect it, make sure everything's okay as well. So that's another reason with Sorinex, they could out, instead of going to multiple companies, trying to get, say, like a Concept 2 row or a different Fed mill, they have reps that they could actually just use all through their company. So we don't have to go through different companies to get all this equipment that we want for cardio as well.
Have they told you what the annual contract number would be
Don't.
roughly?
I don't know if they've told us what the contract is, but.
That would be something that we would adopt into our budget.
Right.
Yeah, we'll explore that and we'll budget for that because we have to maintain it for insurance purposes. To have a gym set up in our facility, per Kerma, we have to maintain it properly. So we will budget for that. I can't imagine it's going to be a lot, just to come in and tighten a few bolts and, you know, just make sure things are working.
Yeah, and they have high customer satisfaction rates, and they have a rep, like you said, is in Clinton, Connecticut. So, yeah. So the number for Sorinex, their grand total comes in at $127,909. I forwarded those to Joe this morning, so he has them. So they'll be available for you guys through email. And there was some smaller ancillary costs, such as the TVs to put in the room and some of the mats and things like that, that it's also itemized. Those come in at $7,750 for a grand total of $135,000, $135,659. So.
Gene, what's the budget situation on, for gym equipment?
We had 330,000 total for soft cost line item, which included the simulator. I think originally the issue was that the gym equipment was going to be funded outside the project, but we have $330,000 that we set aside for gym
So
simulator.
if we spend 100 or 120,000 on a simulator at some point in the future, it still leaves,
It'll be less than that, much less.
Yeah.
but let's
Yeah.
just say, just for planning purposes, at least it will save 100,000 plus or minus. That would leave 200 and some thousands in that fund. Is that correct?
What's encumbered is 330. If you take the 127 out of that, the balance would be whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying if you take the 330 and subtract the
The
equipment.
127, yeah.
We'd have 220 to apply to gym equipment.
Long and short is if we do the gym and the virtual training, we'll still have money left over out of that
That'd be
330.
235,000 out of 330,000.
Right. Is there anything else besides the simulator that you guys are contemplating for this budget, for this? Get the gym equipment simulator, anything else?
No.
No?
Okay, so I'd make a motion. Any more discussion?
I'll second your motion, Penny.
You can, when you make the motion, it was second.
Yeah,
then I'll
so-
call for discussion.
Just,
Okay, so I would make a motion.
Penny, just real quick, but Deanna brought a good point. We did receive 2 other quotes. One was a little less, but didn't have the same amount of equipment, nor could they make it fit properly. And then one was more, is that correct?
Do we have prices? I mean, that.
Yeah, so do we have the numbers on the other quotes?
So what we're gonna do, we have a motion and we need a second, then we have a,
So I'd
then we
make
have a discussion.
motion Not to exceed 100 and, no, it's 135, it's
140.
136. So
Yeah.
not to exceed 140,000 to purchase the gym equipment as proposed by the officers for the police department.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, and do we have now discussion? Do you have the answer to the question on the other prices?
The secondary quote for the second option was, excuse me. The secondary quote was 106,643 for a company called Ardent Fitness.
And that compares to
The sort of.
Right.
And that was the equipment that was not
it was not the
as
same bid,
complete.
Yes.
did not cover all the same equipment. Okay,
And then the higher number? Do we know that?
we're waiting for that, Paul.
Okay, thanks.
Not spec out what you wanted from the company before you got the bid.
We did, you know, we had to rely on them to use what they had for equipment available to them. You know, not every company has the same type of equipment that can fit in the same space. They're limited to what their products are.
The spec was both equipment and they had to fit in the space.
Right, it was about a needs basis, so we had to have them build to spec. And that's why Sorinex is able to do that, to maximize the space, the way it's already designed. We're not designing the room. We're stuck with the room we have, which is a great space. We just need to make sure the equipment that we can maximize.
So, what was the higher bid?
This is another lower, similar bid. It was roughly $100,000.
And did or did not meet the spec?
Did not.
Did not meet the specs with equipment, as well as trying to figure out like how can they maximize the space and what they can do with us.
And customizing it to what we want for the space that we have.
Okay, other questions or discussion?
All of those included installation, the other ones that you quoted to? Yeah,
Hearing no more questions, we'll call for the question. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
I just wanted to mention something very briefly, just in regards to Sorinex, just because I'm very familiar with it. I used to run health clubs for
about 5 years before this for LA Fitness on the West Coast, and then we started opening up on the East
Can you
Coast.
just, for the record, for people who might listen.
You say your name?
Need the microphone.
Right.
Sorry. One thing with Sornex is that it's all commercial grade equipment. So as you're mentioning before, it's built to last. You're not gonna run into problems with that. And if there ever is an issue, we have a local rep that will help out, which is great being in Connecticut. But what Sornex offers as far as customability, it offers a lot of different types of exercises, which a lot of people don't think within the law enforcement and police department of what we do, especially within this town. Wind blows, 20 trees fall down. And a lot of our officers are constantly out of the vehicles. They're picking up limbs, they're moving vehicles, they're moving boulders, rocks out of the roadway. And if you think of all those different types of, that's a lot of the things that the officers do within exercise. That old school way of thinking of exercise, of just pushing weight, it's not really there anymore. Everything's more functional, where you move. If I'm picking up a rock, they have just like this. That's what Sornex does offer, a lot of different types of heavy balls or different types of weights and stuff like that. That's why you see that customability with the cages and stuff, the metal. And that's just one thing I just wanted to emphasize, that within that facility, we're a much younger department. If you look at how many people we have hired lately, everything's going to be used a lot. A lot of younger officers are more encouraged to exercise, and they're encouraging more of the senior officers to exercise. So that camaraderie is there. But the one thing that Sornex does offer is just that versatility of that. Whether we have the street lights are out and we have to go get all those stop signs, those black rubber things, they weigh about 80 pounds. And if you ever pick like 80 pounds of dead weight, it's pretty heavy, on top of all the medical calls we go to with the lift assists. And so there's a lot of lifting. There's a lot of very physical, strenuous exercise. And that's just one thing that Sornex does offer with the equipment. They offer just a wide range of things that will help us in those times, whether, again, picking up boulders, branches, helping other people, and things of that source.
And as we can obviously figure out, the healthier we are, the stronger we are to do these types of things, the less injuries we have. So the injuries are very costly to us. Once somebody goes out on injury leave, goes to workers' comp, and then they're off shift, and then there's overtime. So, there is an investment in this that's going to be, a cost saving somewhere down the line.
I think
One more question.
okay.
So, I know you said you had a female officer who couldn't be here today who's on your committee. This equipment is equally good for your female and your male officers, your young and your older officers?
It's very customizable.
Yes.
The weight range is very broad, so it could cover anybody's ability, and so it's very,
Physical
very
size.
gender neutral.
Sure, as you can look at the renderings, it has the traditional equipment, treadmill, Stairmaster, recumbent bike, things of that nature, and as well as the functional weights that Officer Marzano and Officer Gibson were speaking about.
So this is definitely a unisex gym.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's designed for everybody, for everyone.
All right, any more question or discussion? All right, all for the committee, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Did we
it's
get Paul's vote?
Paul is.
Yes.
Well, then, so we have a quorum of 5 and all it's unanimous.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank you.
gentlemen. It's good. All right, general business update. Ty, do you want to lead this next section?
Sure. So I handed out the monthly report. I think the last time we met and reviewed the monthly report, I sort of alluded to the fact that we were sort of in a transition mode, gearing up for the home stretch, so to speak. And I would say we have very definitely made that turn, and things are moving along very nicely right now. For example, we've increased our manpower from the high 30s in early September to right now we're at 64. So we've almost doubled, and I think by the time we get to the end of this month, we'll be in the 70s. Overall, that also, if you're looking at our billings, In September, we were just under 1 million. In October, we're 1.6 million. And in November, we're anticipating about 2.2 million, and then peaking in December around 2.6 million. And then January and February. Now, this may flatten out a little bit, just as some costs with changes and whatnot tend to lag a little bit in terms of timing. But when the actual work goes in place, will precede some of the billings in actuality. With that being said, is sort of the overview. I think our biggest concern going forward right now is the power from Eversource. Things are moving ahead. The easement is sort of on one track while we're dealing with the line crew on a separate track, but those two have to converge and sort of meet simultaneously before they will actually assign the manpower to perform the work and deliver I would say right now it's probably end of November, early December. And with the holiday, I'm probably defer to early December.
So the question is, when do you need power to continue work in the building?
It would be, we'd kind of like it now as we're getting into colder weather because that's a better source of heat.
Right.
We've brought the temporary heaters back into the building. I think we brought 2 of them. Tiger, we may need a third if push comes to shove, but, this is really the first cold snap we've had, but, and the building is much tighter, much better, insulated. So, I think, a little heat will go a longer way, but then the next thing is just getting systems up and running and testing them out and commissioning them and doing all those things with some time to spare as opposed to, rushing up to a finish line. So I think if we can get it by early December, well, that'll be good. If it was, if it gets into January, that's a concern. Then I think last time I also mentioned there were a few trades that we were concerned about. That was Acronom, Grasso, and then MJ Daly. We've had, I think, good meetings and seen very positive results from Grasso and from Acronom. We had a meeting earlier this week with Daly. It was not as forthcoming. So they they do the they sent down the project manager. We were hoping a principal would arrive because the principal is who really determines the manpower. So we've set up another meeting to meet with the principal. They've increased their manpower by 1 person. We think it probably needs another 2 or 3. That needs to converge with the power because we have to have those systems online in order to get the desired results. So
do we have all the HVAC equipment?
yes, we have all the equipment. Yep. So it's really just putting things in place and connecting them and getting ready for startups.
Commissioner Grasso, where do we stand on paving and the weather and the time of year and all that stuff?
Yeah, right now our plan is to start paving probably the first week of December. We've got some good amount of work to do in EMS. We've got some storm work to do over there. We then reclaim all of that pavement and then put in new pavement. So we've met with Alec, and so there's a week or so of just doing that storm work before we can pave and make it nicey nice. So we have a plan on that. Yeah.
Is that going to block the driveway or is that going to?
Yeah, we will be blocking the driveway for a portion of the period. A lot of the storm work is in the back.
Yeah.
So it'll be.
So
a
they just
little
park
bit
the
of a
rigs on the
constraint.
grass up front? Is that what they're gonna have to
I think they'll park up in the front of the driveway while
Yeah.
we're doing the stuff in the back. And then
Yeah.
when we're repaving, the actual repaving process, we'll have to stage you probably in the front of the PD.
do? When do the plants close?
They close in December. It's it's a function of
Function
temperature.
of temperature.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So,
We had previously provided power down in the back lot for the ambulances to park down there and be plugged in and be operational from there if necessary,
you mean in our staging area that,
in the lower lot, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if that's.
Yeah, we have power there now for where our trailer was and whatnot. So that's an option. It's just where you need,
Well,
we kind of need it for parking.
We put EMS power on the fence in front of the South Avenue cottage.
Oh,
So on the other side, not where your trailer was, but. on the
Oh,
side-
okay.
The east side of that parking lot has plug-in power for the ambulances.
we'll defer to Alec if that's a little longer walk.
It is, I'm just saying it's
yeah.
available.
Yep, okay. So, the broad brush has been sort of outlined with him, and as we get closer, we'll refine that a little bit more, but we'll defer to the EMS team as to what their best.
What do you think the odds are that paving will occur before they close the plant?
I think it's good. I think worst case, this is not really the path we want to go down, but we get the binder down and then perhaps do the top course later, but I think it's a better job if we can get both glares in.
You talking about paving, just part of you can't pave the front parking area, right, yet? Because you're not ready to do that, or are you?
Oh, yeah, no, we'd be ready to pave the whole site.
The
Yeah,
whole site?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
actually, the front part is further along. The gas just went in yesterday.
Right.
We're waiting for the water company. And, but all the other work there is done. We're sort of working from west to east.
Right.
Right now, we're in good shape on the west side. We're finishing the retaining wall on the east side. All the storms in on the east side. And then the last stretch is the connector, putting in the curbs on the north side. So Grasso's up their manpower considerably. They have multiple crews going on, and we're all working towards that goal. And we appreciate the importance of getting that paving in. And worst case scenario, I think there was a plant in the Bronx that stays open all winter. It's at a premium, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I'm just curious, given that does that mean that most of the heavy earth moving and type equipment is going to be off-site? So you're not going to have a problem where you put all this paving down and then it gets beaten up in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, by the time we get there,
Yeah.
probably a man lift would be the biggest piece of equipment to get up on
Right.
the side of the building to do
Aerial
something.
platform.
Is the cupola work all done?
The cupola is we got photos. It's coming down the home stretch. I think Scott can give you a little more information. I think it's ready to be delivered in the next week or so.
No,
What's that?
Yeah, it's probably in about 2 weeks, we'll be ready. Yeah, we're just finalizing our side and getting prepared. So when it comes, we can hit it and put it right up so it doesn't hang around too long.
When it comes, we do have to paint it on the ground because it's
Yes.
a lot easier that way. And then we'll lift it into place. So that's my sort of broad overview.
Hey,
I
Ty.
think you-
Ty, it's Paul. Is there anything that we can do as a committee on the Eversource problem or situation?
Well, we're working hand in hand with Joe.
Okay,
And I think there's perhaps a call that can be made at some point. But we've just delivered an updated drawing. There was a request. The initial request was that with solar panels, it's a slightly different process. But the solar panels aren't going in initially, so they asked to remove that request, and it would theoretically go through a little faster.
I'm sorry, what's the difference on the solar panel?
Well, if you have solar panels, you're potentially feeding back to the grid.
Right.
So it just falls into a different category with Eversource. So if we eliminate, you can change it in the future, but it just.
It takes all your different equipment.
Well, it takes different switchgear, which we already have, but yeah.
So are we making, I'm sorry, but are we making it more difficult to add solar later? Because
No,
I understand
no.
that that's gonna be one of the
It's just-
first things that the police do is get like a PPA or something.
Yeah.
For the back.
No, it's just a box that gets checked and it goes a slightly different path of getting processed through Eversource. So it was recommended, eliminate, if you don't have the requirement day one, it can always be adjusted later, but simplify the path through Eversource at this stage.
Okay, and just so we know, because we we spent the money to make it solar ready, at some point, can you just tell us what the police department plans and?
We didn't make it solar ready. I mean, it's able to equip solar panels. I think the conduit is there, but we don't have any solid plans to do solar panels immediately after the project. So I'm not sure where you got that from.
I think that's what we asked.
Well, I think we
Well,
had
solar-
paid
solar ready.
more to make it solar ready. So I guess what I would like to know is having spent the money.
I think Brian could probably speak to that, but I don't know that it really increased the cost significantly to be solar ready.
So we
So
put,
I'd still like to know what the plans are for the police department to add solar to that back roof. In what time frame?
So the term solar ready, it is ready for solar. All the parts and pieces are there for it. We do not have any solar in the project necessarily. So that was the PPA that you're discussing.
Right.
So at this particular moment, we have not done anything with a PPA for the project. It was discussed that at the end, if there was contingency available, that then that would be discussed whether it would be better off for the town to buy or to do a PPA. So we're not at that point yet, but that was where we left it 6 months ago and where it is currently.
Nothing.
Okay, I just like to have.
Well, I think all the agreements which are said, that the conduits and the weight limits on the roof would support solar, but we have no solar activity in the building at all.
No, I understand that. So I'm just, because we're at this good
Well, I
point,
don't know.
I just.
I was gonna say what I was gonna add to that was I think the public works. I think what we have to say is that public works in, as they, solar or other, or put the heating and generating systems on the building. I think that it ought to be in a public works budget at some point. I don't know when, or it needs to be put together as a separate plan by somebody. I don't think it's a police plan.
What's traditionally been the thing with solar in the town and how they install it on public buildings?
For our buildings,
Yeah.
we purchased the units, sorry.
oh, you got one.
For our buildings, we've purchased the units and had them installed.
Right.
So as part of the process, so we have them on 4 separate buildings here.
Mhm.
The pool, nature center.
Right.
So that's been at the highway department, sorry. So that's been ours. The Board of Ed, since the roof is so much larger, they've gone to a PPA.
Right.
Because it's more cost
What's
effective.
PPA?
A power purchase agreement.
Got it. Okay.
So basically, you allow someone to put the solar on top of it, they generate the power, you buy your power from them at a reduced rate,
Yeah.
but there's no capital outlay, you're just giving them roof space
Yeah.
in the end. So
Yeah.
it's for about a 20-year
20-year
lifespan.
payment, yeah.
We'll have to analyze whether or not it's better to go to PPA for the police or whether to go and buy the units outright, because it all just comes down to dollars and cents in the end, what's best for the town. So we'll take a look at that and then see.
Yeah, they haven't assessed the viability of solar in that location if you're gonna have it on the flat roof, right? So that means you'll lose the sun for half.
Right, we
No,
put it-
you put it over the carport, which is.
Right,
Yeah.
but I mean, the
Oh,
fact
yeah,
is
yeah.
that it's an east-west building.
Yes.
It's a north-south polar building, and I'm just thinking it's sun.
It's pretty open.
Yeah, all right. You get enough sunlight is a question. but-
So I
But to
think-
Jim's point, it's more our bailiwick than it
Yeah,
is
it's
the
not a
PD's
police.
bailiwick.
Right. That's-
You know, it's-
Right, I
it's,
just want, I just think it's one of the ways we sold it to the public.
Mhm.
We said we were gonna get solar at some point or analyze it, and so I just wanted.
We just need to make-
To forward that.
We need to make sure we have space in the building for the switchgear. It takes some additional switchgear, and I assume we do.
Yep.
Mhm.
And we put the conduits in they could have the wires pulled at an appropriate time, and the roof will support the panels, which is really all we can do as this committee. So we're as prepared as we could be, without having actually voted to do it as part of the project.
Right, but we can, nobody is for moving forward.
You know, we'd like a plan.
We will get you a plan.
Thank you.
So-
Okay, who's next?
So I think Scott, he's got a bunch of pictures to walk you through and give you a general update on the progress, and I think you'll see a lot of progress.
Yeah, so thank you, Ty. Appreciate it. I think Ty hit most of the bullet points on, how we're managing and what we're tackling and the direction we're going. And so just for the sake of some of those, the team members that weren't able to get out to the job site are interested. So we put a little photo montage together here. So Larry's going to run through them. I'll just kind of describe what we see, and then we'll answer questions at the end. So this is upstairs. Again, this is the third floor, the upper level bathrooms, kind of just getting ready to install. We don't like putting all the sinks and toilets in because then people use them. So we're ready to do that. And then the last thing we're going to do are the ceiling tiles in there. This is inside the admin area up on the upper level. Again, all the millwork is in and protected. We're just getting ready for temperatures to get acclimated so we can start the flooring up there. Then we'll start on the finishes. Again, inside the little pantry area upstairs, the millwork is in, countertops are on, backsplashes are in, and we're just waiting for the last little bits and pieces as we get to the next level. Then we roll down into the dispatch area. I'm sorry?
Scott.
Was that the new color?
Oh, is that the new color? Is that the rainy day coming or whatever it is?
No, the new colors are not there. These rooms don't have the colors. These colors weren't changed in these. So those are the regular colors. It was the brownish that we got rid of.
It's kind of like this color.
Yeah, kind of like that in the background there in the dispatch. So this is the front area. Looking at the dispatch again, the ceiling nodes are ready up top to receive the sheetrock. There's just some technical mechanical testing that we have to do, pressure testing and water, and it ties to systems. But where the sill is in, getting ready for the window install at dispatch. And we were painting in the dispatch area, getting ready to receive ceilings in there. As you look in the corner, that's where our temporary office is, over in the records room. So records room is basically ready to, again, just receive finishes as we get out of here with our office. So this is the corridor looking north between the new building on the right and the existing building on the left. So this is the corridor that gets you down there. Just again, showing you that we've got a lot of mechanical systems overhead. We've got the sheetrock in, and we're just waiting for the expansion joints to come in as we get ready to take the next step of closing up walls there. So this is us looking inside the new addition. This is looking north from the stairwell. So you can see this is the corridor right there. These are the two bathrooms. You can see the bathroom walls right here that all the plumbing is in. And we're going to get ready to start framing those final walls there. We just needed to get all the piping in. That is the area that we were loading right there where Larry's hand is. That's where our loading window was, and that's the high density storage area back there. So, but again, looking up top, you can see all of the overhead mechanical systems are ready. We're just waiting for the final things, all the ductwork, electrical systems, low voltage. This is the little break room upstairs. Again, we're getting ready to receive the millwork. Just again, we have that one little area open for one final plumbing inspection as we energize the system, and then just putting soffits in. This is the communicating stair looking down. So this is us looking down. The stair is in, the block wall is up. We got some final cleaning and washing to do, but basically the stairwell is all in. So now we can communicate between the floors. Lower level, this is just outside the training room on the right here, looking from the north, looking south. So again, just showing you the complexity of everything that's going on above the ceiling. There's a tremendous amount of work going on down there, and our efforts to keep those ceilings high, creating some soffits around the perimeter and the likes. The next one here, this is us looking inside the fitness room. Again, we're using this just as, open spaces there's not, you can see this is us looking to the south with the windows to the left. What the heck?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Larry, we have a technical difficulty.
It froze in.
So you can look to the left, you'll see the windows there that we wanted to put in there, those windows. Again, we're finishing up the mechanical systems. You can see them going in, and we're gonna start getting ready to build the soffits. After we've spray foamed and insulated and did all the parts and pieces around the exterior walls, just as we finish that up. So this is just a quick shot of the boiler room. Again, just to show the intricacies of all the pipes and the offsets and the silliness that had to happen down there to make this thing fit. So we're in good shape down there. We're getting ready to energize systems in the next week or so. Again, filling them with water, testing them, and getting them ready. Just grab them and stop them. So we're looking down here now. This is the men's locker room. Larry was able to get a photo before we covered the floor and protected it. So this is the bathroom is in the forefront here, and in the background you see the locker area.
The shower.
I'm sorry, the shower area, and you'll see a photo that we have here now. So this is down into the showers. So this we've got the men's showers. We're putting the tile in, getting all ready. The minimum protection on the floor, just trying to keep the tile protected as we get ready to grout these walls. So that's them hanging all the tile. Again, this is the men's sink area to the right. I'm sorry, those are the toilets to the right, and urinals are straight ahead. That's the urinal wall. So again, just giving you an idea where we are with the grout. We're going to be grouting today. This is looking down into the locker room on the opposite side of the showers. Again, tiles going in. There's a lot of detail, different tiles, colors, architectural features there. You can kind of see the soffits in the background there, where the lockers are going to go. So that gives us the opportunity to prepare for the locker receipt. This is women's locker room. We're looking down into the locker room. We have the soffit. The soffit is getting built. Again, which happens above the lockers for the plenum air return system. All the duct work overhead, the mechanicals are happening. And then we're going to be rolling from the men's room into the women's room to start working on the tile in there. This is just a close-up of the two showers in the women's room, looking back at the sink area there. That's a small room, so it's tough getting big pictures there, but certainly give you a flavor of the stage that we're in. This is us looking into the processing area. So down on the left, you can see some of the holding cell, little processing cells on the left, looking straight down into, back towards the cell area in the far south. This is the jail cell area, one of the corridors here. Those are the access panels you see on the side that get you into the plumbing areas. And then those are the cells on the left, 1, 2, and 3 on the left-hand side there. This is processing. It's small spaces, but so this is looking into one of the processing rooms, again, where you have the pass-through window. That's a door that gets you out to the Sally port on the left. And then again, if you look down some of the holding cells down in that area there. This is actually inside one of the cells. We've got the mechanical systems overhead ready to drop down. You see some seismic clips installed. You got the little opening on the left there. That's where the penal toilets are going to sit as we start getting ready to prepare for receipt of the ceilings and the jail cell ceilings and the parts and pieces for them. As we step outside, this is looking towards the Sally port, which we have a little better picture of, but certainly just kind of giving you a flavor of where we are. We've got vapor barrier going on. We've got the little concrete curbs. These are little aprons that get you out into the area that's going to get paved. There's the skylight that gets light down into the Sally port, into the canopy area. And again, just a lot of masonry work going on. On the left, you can see we've got the brick on the east side getting ready to carry across the front of the Sally port. Just trying, again, a lot of work going on there. This is a picture from the back looking west. Again, just trying to give you an area of what we're looking at. There's retaining wall. So the retaining wall is going in, trying to match the elevation of that little catch basin you see there. The catch basin to the right there. No, right there, yeah, right
Yeah, yeah,
there. So that's the catch basin there. Again, that's the elevation about where we need to be. That's the curb height. On the left, you'll see the stairs. We poured the stairs and we just have them protected, so that we have proper temperature maintenance, as the concrete cures. This is the soffit and the fascia that develops, the outside face of the building, but it is also the receiver of the ceiling on the inside and the underside of the canopy. So we're really starting to push ahead on that. If you look up, if you go back one, Larry, there, we go back one there. So if you zoom in, you can just see the roof work. So we've stripped the front of the roof. We'll show another photo there, but that's just our access up onto the roof as we start the process up on the sloped roof there through that scaffolding system. Going to the next photo here. Again, this is looking from the northeast corner. Again, just showing you all the features that they have there. There's a little bit of light outlet for some light. There's that's the scaffolding over there that gets you up to the roof. You can start seeing that we're starting to try to clean the area up and button up the outside with the vapor barrier against the right there against the storage garage, and then they'll be working themselves upstairs. So there's the brick. This is us EMS to the left. That is the brick on the outside of the sally port. You can see the openings overhead. Those are for ventilation because you want to ventilate those areas where the vehicles are. And again, as we're starting to strip that scaffold down today, we're going to roll over to the east side of the garage area to the east. Again, a lot going on here. It does look a little confusing with all the fences and scaffolding, but certainly you can see how the brick is up to the underside. On the right there, that's the underside of the sally port. We've got about another 5 or 6 courses of brick that's going to bring us to the underside of the roof. EMS drive, obviously, to the left. That's where we've got to get in. That's that Ty was mentioning. But you can see that there's a lot going on in these corners, and it's tight spaces, but certainly we're pushing through. So this is a photo from the roof looking down. Again, you can see the back side of the retaining wall. You can see the stairs as they're starting to work on the stairs. All the grading is starting to get established. Catch basins are getting installed. And we're working on a couple little storm drainage challenges we have with some storm drainage that we found that wasn't on a drawing and no one really knew about. So we're working there. So now we're back at the front. This is the front of the building. Again, we've got this sidewalk right down the middle that ties to a South Avenue. We got light poles are up. Try to get some lighting out there. We've started working on the restoration of the brick on the front, both north side, south side. You can see the roof is stripped. We've stripped all the shingles off of the front area, and we're ice and water shield protected there, so we're in good shape there. This is us just looking down the north side. Obviously, you see the generator there. This is the transformer pad. The wires are there sitting and waiting and ready for the new transformer in their little hole there. The yellow flags you can see, that's where the gas line went in yesterday. So that gets us right to the gas meter. We're just tracking those to make sure we get good quality as-built to show us where everything is. But then as we start cleaning this area out, now that gas is in, we can start the curb work down the north side. Start getting the curbs in there and start buttoning up this area to bring us to grade. Well, like Ty said, hopefully in early December before the plants close, get us to start getting this place paved up. This is the roof of the canopy and above the sally port. Again, just giving you a sense of what's going on. We've got rooftop curbs. Those are curbs for the mechanical systems that are going to get set over in this area here. You've got the vapor barrier going on. As we're preparing it, we've got one window in sample trying to set us up to understand how the windows tie in with the bricks. And up top, again, you can see the scaffold that goes up top to the upper roof there. Sorry. That's all right. You can see the scaffold there, but a lot going on. We're at about 67 crafts people on site, and we're pushing forward. This is the upper roof. You zoom out a little bit. Yeah. This is the upper roof. You can see we've got one curb set there. The other curb is set there. We're getting prepared to cut the holes in the deck so we can set the units on the roof and bring up the ductwork to feed that from the inside the building. We've got the roof. You can see the roof drains kind of popping up there. This is the temp roof. But you can see the roof drains that up there that show there's some elevation because you have to get insulation on these roofs to maintain a thickness for insulation. And then you've got the rack on the right-hand side there where some of the split units are going to go, and you can see the pipes sticking out of the wall for the condensates and the condenser units and the refrigeration lines. Next couple pictures are going to be of the cupola. So this is what we got down in the shop. This is again, this is the lower half of the upper part of the cupola. So this is where you might have seen the door. That's the louver waiting to get installed that they just put in for some access. This is inside. This gives us an opportunity to see how it's going to get shipped, how it's going to tie into the existing roof, and how we can keep it watertight. This is the new finial and the top cap in here for the copper, and that will tarnish and age patina as it goes on. And again, just opportunities for us to kind of see how things are going as they've got to neat things up, button a couple corners up and the likes. So that is it in a nutshell. I wanted to take the time to put a couple extra photos in here for those that didn't get out here. If there's any questions, let them have it.
That was pretty comprehensive, Scott. Thank you. I think unless somebody's urgent question, we need to move on here.
Yeah, the only question I have is maybe next time he can put it to music.
Okay.
Is my voice really that grating?
Do you want to read this?
Well, it's a montage. You expect some background.
Exactly.
Okay. This is a quick interrupt. I was just handed this by Joe. Bill Walbert says, I won't be there Thursday call. Would like to publicly thank the police department, the public works CERT, and the Turner Construction for creating an illuminated and safe pathway for the trick-or-treaters on Halloween night on South Avenue. Over 800 people were out on South Avenue. So thanks for the team for taking care of that.
Yeah, we got a lot of positive feedback for that, and even post-construction, they requested that we do the same. So just to make it safe environment. We may have opened the Pandora's box there a little bit, yeah.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Okay, you want to go through the changes and then have Dean?
First thing on the PCO log, some of the electric panels got there earlier than we expected, so there was a little bit of a storage charge that we hadn't anticipated. So that's what this refers to. This came out of contingency. So you don't see the number here once we get to the.
It's your contingency, right?
It's our contingency, yeah. On the next page. This one, with security camera, that was a request of PD. So that just went from approximate to pending, and it went from 21,000.
Disney's popping up in here.
Sorry, I didn't put this. 21,000 down to 12. The next is the transformer relocation. That just went from approximate to pending. Power and teledata outlet change, that we'll discuss. Well, basically that originally was a $7.5 thousand cost, and Larry was able to negotiate that as a no cost change. So basically that just is going to evaporate from the dollar value. Down to the bottom, that's where we have some new items, some additional work at the low voltage. Most of these you don't see any numbers against. Larry's been able, as we're coming down the home stretch here, there's some holds that haven't been used. So he's using some of the holds to minimize the impact onto your contingency. So let me just, there's additional low voltage requested. There was some circuiting. Some of the light poles showed power to the light, but there were also some outlets would require being on a different circuit. So that wasn't shown on the drawings, but we used a hole to accommodate that. Slate roofing, there was a little bit of some tweaking of the layout. We used a hole to cover that. Water meter request. So originally the water meter was inside the building. Aquarian said, no, we want a meter pit outside the building. So we just had to, there's a slight change to accommodate that. Larry has a plug of 15,000 on that. So that'll get refined. Prep existing floor for the expansion joint. The existing building, first of all, the floors are all over the place in terms of elevation, but also in a lot of cases, we're not matching concrete to concrete. We had some terracotta block that was where the expansion joint was going to be sitting. That won't work. So we had to modify the block, put in some concrete so that the expansion joint will function properly. And the ADA shower, we just had to chop out some concrete because it didn't indicate that there needed to be a recessed slab for that particular shower basin. So we're taking that out of a hold as well. Now, as we go through the hold report, a lot of things I've already talked about are going to show up here. The transformer relocation, we reduced that value. We took some of the hold money to reduce the overall cost of that. So there's some of it went as a change, and then we used some hold money as well. The next one is some of what was used to chop out to lower the slab for the ADA shower. Prep existing floor for the expansion joint. And then a little residual amount for the ADA shower. Slate roofing coordination. We used $5,000 of that hold. And then you come down, pre-T, we had a hold for premium time. So we used a little of that for some footing prep one weekend. So that was a hold that was designated for premium time. Next page, there were lots of little charges. This is for some sprinkler work. These were adjustments that had to be made after we did the coordination on paper. And then when we got out in the field, there was a condition that we had to adjust some of the routing and the sprinklers just because of ceiling heights and whatnot, and obstructions in the field. So about $6,000 there that went against a hold. This next group has to do with some panels, electric panels. Well, these are control panels and other panels that didn't show on the electrical drawings, but require power. So again, we used a hold to accommodate those. We're used to that kind of popping up. So we had a hold designated for that. The next one is the additional circuit for the power going to the lights for the outlets on the lights. Your power and lighting outlets need to come from separate different panels. The next one is Frontier required some additional power in the IT room. Small money, but so we used a hold for that. The grounding system, when we did the demo down in the what was an old telephone room, it's now a locker room. We had to rerun that ground up to the attic to service that equipment. Teledata drop, archive storage, that was another user request that we used a hold for. And electrical condo redesign. Again, this was part of the overall MEP coordination that we talked about. I think that was 95,000 of change, but we used a little bit of hold money as well to absorb some of that. Allowances, no.
So just I understand that original hold was 336, we've now reduced the hold to 202.
Correct.
So we have 202, potentially returnable, we can, you know, we'll probably result in more of it before we finish.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Allowances, no changes there. There's only $28,000 left there, which are primarily two buckets. One is for additional exterior masonry cleaning. I would expect we're gonna probably exhaust that, especially when we evaluate the coping along there that didn't require any work. And then there's another one. There's a like a mailbox cubbies that were alluded to on the drawings, but I think need a little more definition. So we've got some money set aside for that as well. The last thing is the contingency report. Again, I talked earlier about electric panels showing up earlier than expected. And we hadn't included with the electrical contractor for the storage and then the rigging of that. So these are funds out of our contingency to address those costs. And then the power to the BMS panel, again, that was some of the panel work power that wasn't shown. So we used some contingency and some hold money to address that. And then the last two, again, have to do with the rigging and storage of some of the electrical equipment.
So that's a right now, you've got 202 left in the bowls and 430 left in the contingency.
Correct. Yep.
And the construction.
Correct. Yep.
Plus whatever rate Dean's got left in the owner.
Yep. So,
How much was the cupola?
oh, I don't know the breakout on that off the top of my head. But I think it was, it was probably in the just under 100,000, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Gene, go ahead. I'm going to step out. I'm going to leave Tom with the to close up the meeting.
All right, well, we have Gene's report, right?
Yeah.
Dean is next.
I'll be brief here. Give me a screen. So I guess the big news, we're really at 911,000 in owner's contingency. It's about 37,000 plus or minus drop from our last report, and most of that is really consumed by PCOs 91 and 92. So looking fairly strong there, given the current progress of the project. Other just quick news, I think one of the things that I'm going to do, I think, Ty, I have to adjust your cash flows from the report here. So these currently still reflect, the paint graph still reflects the original cash flow projections. The current October invoice was about 63% complete. I'll plot the new curve for the next report that basically spikes up and then spikes down based off of what Ty just shared with us this morning. We're about 13 million of the 20 completed to date. That's all I got.
Any questions for Gene? Any other business anyone wants to raise? Nope. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second, great. All in favor? Aye, thank you. Great. See you all in 2 weeks. When's our next meeting? Is it 2 weeks or is it no?
No, our
That's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's 2 weeks, so it's December 12th is our next meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, thanks, everyone.